Where to even begin as Sunderland lose back-to-back home games against Mansfield last week and MK Dons this week. Yes, the mighty MK Dons, who have not won away from home since September last year, have came to the Stadium of Light and took a 2-1 win. And it feels like now momentum is just going so far against Sunderland. We may as well get the hard stuff out straight away. I am now definitely in the PARKY OUT camp. I think it's been a bad week for Sunderland. Certainly going out against Mansfield was disgraceful in the manner we did. And today the performance was terrible. And what was worse was midweek against Fleetwood, we saw quite a few promising players play. Elliot Embleton, Dan Neil, Jack Diamond started. And today Parkinson could only find 5 minutes for Jack Diamond. Just not good enough for me. The fact is that it's obvious there's no plan B. Plan A is rigid. It is this 3-5-2 or 5-3-2. There is no sort of change in that. Occasionally you might go with a 5-2-3. But he doesn't change the style of play. He's not changing... He's not making substitutions quick enough. It was like 60 plus minutes today. 67 minutes we made our first change. You're going to be 2-1 at home to MK Dons. You wait until the 67th minute to make a substitution. It's just, as a Sunderland fan, it's hard to watch, to see that we are just being, we're just so average for this level. And I think about when we sacked Jack Ross and we brought Phil Parkinson in, where we were at that point, and I think we were probably on course under Jack Ross to probably finish in the top 4. Of course, we ended up finishing 8th last season, COVID, all that. Yeah, you kind of give Parkinson the benefit of the doubt, but you look at the style of play this season, you look at the results even, you look at everything really that's happening on the pitch, and it all ultimately falls down to Phil Parkinson, the recruitment. Has he made a signing this summer that has really improved the team? Of course, Bailey Wright came in, he'd probably be the one you'd look at, but I don't think any of the other signings, certainly, I might have forgot one, but certainly off the top of my head, there's not been... looking at the 11 today, only Bailey Wright looks like a solid bit of business. And Sunderland fans are rightfully angry, frustrated. If people had been in the ground today, it would have been toxic, and so it should be. And social media, it's only one platform, but you can see on there that fans are angry. And I think you can't be a Sunderland fan right now and not be angry at the situation that's going on. We've got owners that are disinterested. We've got a manager who currently looks, out of his depth. And I've tried to stay reasonably impartial, give Parky some credit where it was due, but you can't give him any credit today. I suppose we best run down the action. Sunderland actually took the lead through Max Power in the 11th minute. Shot from outside the box, deflected past the MK Dons keeper, and then from there it was a disaster really. I actually thought Sunderland started brightly in the first sort of 10 minutes. Jerome scored in the 16th minute. It looked to me like Bailey Wright was possibly a little bit weak on the headed challenge, but it was a good ball, it was a good header, and sometimes you can't defend that. The keeper couldn't have done anything about it, so it was 1-1. 47th minute, just after half time, when you're just wanting Sunderland to put a bit of command on the game, and Max Power just it's a mistake, more from him. I don't think it was there was no intent, but he sort of goes to kick the ball, and he ends up, the MK Dons player nicks it in front of him, he ends up kicking the player. There's no doubt it's a penalty. I don't want to hammer him too much for it, because I think it was a genuine mistake that could have happened to many players, but it was just so poor. And then MK Dons scored the penalty. From there, Will Grigg, there was one there on the 65th minute, he just missed an absolute sitter. Goes across goal, and Gooch does good work. I think it was Gooch, and it comes across, and he's just literally got to put anything on it, it's a goal, anything. And it looks to me like he's sort of cowered out of it. It looks like he's scared about getting contact, and the ball just ends up going out, I think, for a throw-in. Or it might have even went to a Sunderland ball, but we didn't make anything of it. It should have been 2-2 at that point. And really there wasn't really much else to report. I mean, there was a lot of balls coming into the box. There was a lot of glimpses that we might create something. I think Denver Hume had a shot that was tipped wide of the post. But other than that, there just wasn't much there. And, it's not to be arrogant. We are Sunderland, we should be beating MK Dons at home. But the manner of the performances recently, and the manner of that today, and what we've seen all season, Sunderland fans, yes, we want to see a team that's winning. That's first and foremost. We want to see a team that's passionate, yes. But at the minute, we're seeing a team that's just a very, very average League One side. That shouldn't be okay, for Sunderland. It shouldn't be accepted. I understand we've got to accept where we are. We are in League One, and that's not Phil Parkinson's fault. Ultimately, that's years of mismanagement. But I think sometimes you've got to wonder, you look at the team that he has at his disposal, the money that Sunderland are spending on players, he's got a strike force there that cost anywhere between 3 and 5 million, depending where you read, and he's not providing them any service. I think the most frustrating thing for me was watching the game midweek and seeing some of the younger players play so well, and then see them, just diamond on the bench today. I know they look tired in the second half down at Fleetwood, and I think maybe it would have been a stretch to start both Dan Neil and Elliot Embleton. I think I understood why he didn't do that. But come on, on the bench today. Because you're telling me in the last 20 minutes we wouldn't have had a better chance of winning with Elliot Embleton on the pitch. I mean, maybe Elliot was injured. I don't know. But it's just beggars belief at times. And you look at you played 2 strikers up front. That's not going to score you more goals. What's going to score you more goals is better creative play in there. And it wasn't really until we brought Maguire on that we actually had a player that looked like they were going to create something. And then when Diamond came on, yes, his final ball was poor, but at least he was getting onto the wing and trying to cross balls into the area. And you never know when it only takes one of them to land nicely for it to score. So it was a frustrating afternoon. In fact, it wasn't frustrating. It was an angering afternoon. And I think we have to accept right now that unless something changes on the management side, it's going to be very difficult to see where Sunderland can go from here this season, because I don't think we look like a team capable of challenging for the top 2. That should be the target, but I don't think we're anywhere near that. Are we good enough to get in the top 6? Well, I think at the minute that has to be the target. Will the owners make a change while they're in the middle of a potential takeover? I don't see them doing that. Will the new owners, if they did come in, would they make a change? You'd probably think they would. Certainly if they've been keeping an eye on Sunderland, it would make sense that they would make a change, because number one, it'd be a quick win to get the fans over, but number two, you can't be watching what we watched this afternoon and think that that's okay, because it's not okay. Sunderland fans, I think, are sometimes told that they often have, they need to accept where they are and all that, and I understand that, but I think sometimes there has to be a recognition that there should be a higher standard at Sunderland when they're in League One, and at the minute the team and the management just isn't hitting that target. Anyway, we'll jump onto the player ratings. I'm doing a Roker Report podcast on Sunday, so there will be far more in-depth analysis of everything that's happening at Sunderland at the minute. But the team ratings, Remy Matthews, he actually came out of the game fine. I don't think he was at fault for either goal. One was a header, one was a penalty, and he actually made a very crucial save towards the end of the game to give us a chance of still getting something from it. So I gave him a 6. I was a little bit nervous about him coming in because he's not been great when I've seen him, but today he didn't let us down. The back 3, Bailey Wright, Jordan Willis, Luke O'Nien. I said that I think Wright maybe could have done better for the first goal. Willis didn't look 100% fit. He looks like he's still carrying injury. And O'Nien's just playing in an unnatural position, which is just, again, you're moving players around. So Gooch is playing in an unnatural position, O'Nien's playing in an unnatural position. And sometimes that's going to bite you in the rear end. It did today, but I've given the back 3 a 5. I don't think they particularly did much wrong. They struggled to cope with Cameron Jerome, and as I said, Bailey Wright maybe struggled for the goal, but they didn't really do much else wrong. Sometimes towards the end of the game we're out of position, but you're pushing for a goal. And the full backs, Denver, it looks like when Sunderland win, it's winning it from left back. And again, that's one of the reasons why it's not good enough, because Denver's, he's one of the few players that we have who can create chances, who can run, who's direct. I gave him a 6 today, and I thought that if we were going to score, it was probably going to come from him or Chris Maguire when he came on. Lyndon Gooch, I thought he was really poor today. He's a player that I like him a lot. Sometimes, though, his decision making's poor, and I don't think he got going today. I've given him a 4. Moving it in the midfield, Max Power got took off on 67 minutes. I don't think he had a great game. I thought his goal, yes, fine, brilliant. He got the goal. The penalty, I don't want to hammer him too much for that, but it was a little bit naive. Other than that, his play was poor, I would say. I was hoping the goal would put a new lease of life in him, but I don't think it did. So I've given him a 4. Grant Ledbetter, I didn't see him really assert himself on the game. I thought Sunderland were getting often overrun on the counter, and that's generally an area where I'd expect him to contribute a lot, and I don't think he did today. I've given him a 5. Josh Scowen, I didn't see much of him today. I didn't really see him do much right or wrong, and for that reason, I'm going to give him a 5, and a 5 just basically represents he didn't really do much good or bad. Will Grigg, you know, I like Will Grigg. Personally, I like Will Grigg as well when I've had dealings with him. He's a really nice lad, and I hope that he can turn it around at Sunderland. I really, really do. But you can't defend him today because, you know, he's paid to score goals, and he's had chances today and he's not scored. And the one of them where, to me, it looks like he cowards out when the ball gets played across goal line. To me, it looks like he doesn't commit to it because he thinks he's going to get clattered. He's a player with obvious confidence issues, and you're not going to have strikers scoring goals when they don't have confidence. It's striking. It is a confidence. You know, it's a confidence position ultimately. And I don't know if just the time's ran out on Will Grigg at Sunderland now. I hope that he does manage to turn it around, but just the more and more I see him play, the more and more I think it's not going to be right. And look, I think Parkinson's made massive mistakes with Will Grigg as well. I think when he's came in, you know, last season there was long periods where Will Grigg wasn't even in the squad, and that can't have done him any good. Then he doesn't often get minutes, and then he gets thrown in for a random start here. And I think Will Grigg's the sort of striker that, you know, well, as all strikers, they need good runs of games. I'm sure if you even threw Kevin Phillips in randomly for one game here and then took him out for 3, then put him in for 2, he would struggle to get a rhythm going as well. So I think a lot of it's management on Grigg. Look, we know he's a good goal scorer because we've seen it in the past. Maybe he's not that player anymore, but I certainly think that there's an issue there on how he's played, and I think there's an issue mentally for him. Moving on, Charlie Wyke. I think he's been in good form recently. Today wasn't his best showing. He didn't really particularly do much. I saw him win a few headers. He put himself about a little bit, but he wasn't really given any service. That's why I've given him a 5. I had a 4 written down, but I boosted him up to a 5 just because I don't think he personally could have done anything different in the game. He was physical. He did the things I would expect a target man to do. How many balls were really put in the box for him to attack? Not many. It wasn't really until the last 50 minutes that we started crossing the ball anyway. So a 5 for him. Off the bench, now this was a bugbear with Parkinson today. You're watching that first 67 minutes and you're not making the change. What are you watching, mate? Like, come on. I'm watching it and I'm going, when we concede there on 46 minutes or whatever it was, I'm going, right, give it 5 minutes, we'll make a change. 67 minutes? Is that enough time? Because to me, on 67 minutes as well, when you're getting beat by a goal at home against MK Dons, who are struggling this season, at that point you're basically just chasing the game. There's no fluidity to it. I would have got Maguire on earlier to sort of actually play in an actual game of football rather than attack-free defence. But when he came on, Maguire made a massive difference. Everything that Sunderland did positive in the sort of last 25 minutes when he was on there generally came from Maguire. I thought he was good today when he came on. I've given him a 6, and that was largely just because of the time he was on. But I think if Sunderland were to score today, it was probably going to come through something that Chris Maguire created. Parkinson then brought on Danny Graham in the 72nd minute for Will Grigg. What can you really say about both Danny Graham and Will Grigg? Neither particularly looked like scoring. I struggle to see how we're probably spending £15,000 a week on them 2 strikers. It's bad resource management. It's just bad all round. Graham, he's only on for 20 minutes today. It's not his fault we got beat. But also, you don't see much from him. Considering when we were in the Premier League last time we had Danny Graham, you kind of sort of say, well, we were in the Premier League and that's why he only scored 1 goal in 40 odd games. We've got him in League One and he just looks like the same player, but the League One version, which is worse. And I wasn't impressed when he came on today. I've given him a 5. The other substitution, Jack Diamond came on, and he did get involved. He did show glimpses, but his final ball was just really poor. But again, it's not easy when you just come on for 5 minutes in the 85th minute. It's not easy to get involved. So it's difficult to really, say anything negative about Jack Diamond. Then you get to Phil Parkinson, and look, we've had discussions on this channel, I've had discussions on Road Report. I've generally been on the fence. I've always seen the arguments for and against Phil Parkinson, but I don't think a Sunderland fan could have watched Sunderland this last week, the last the FA Cup game and this game, and think that Phil Parkinson's the man going forward. I ran a poll as well on my social media, which is overwhelmingly voted Parky Out. I just thought it was interesting to get a feel of the fans. Maybe my opinion was not the right one, but I feel vindicated in switching myself to the Parky Out campaign. So I'll put the poll up here now. That might seem a little bit reactionary. Maybe it is. Maybe there is a little bit of that in there. But I've watched every game of the season apart from the Ipswich game. I've not seen anything to suggest that the Sunderland team's in the top 2 of teams in this division. We have no ideas going forward. Creativity is just non-existent. The answer to our problems seems to always be to throw an extra striker on and not actually think about why we're not creating chances. There's a reluctance to play younger players, even though we're told that Parkinson wants to give younger players a try. There's a reluctance to have a plan B. That there just isn't one. The football stays the same. We approach games in every manner, which means that every single team knows how we're going to play, which is we're going to play 5-3-2 or 3-5-2. We're going to be compact, defensive, and we're going to try and hope that you make a mistake so we can score. And ultimately, that's not good enough, because even teams in League One can counter that tactically, can counter that in the play. It's no different every week, and it's so easy. I would imagine it's so easy to play against a team that plays in the same way every single week, and you can watch them and go, they are definitely going to play like that. There's calls to sort of change the formation round, but it feels to me that Parkinson is dead set on having 3 centre backs. That's his system. A good manager surely watches the games back on a Sunday or a Monday, hopefully a Sunday because they don't deserve a day off. He'll watch it back and go, oh, okay, I don't think the tactics are working at the minute. We'll probably change that about. And it feels like they're not doing that. It feels very much like we've got a one-dimensional manager who just doesn't see anything beyond playing roughly the same 11 every week and not trying to blood in younger players and playing the same system. It just doesn't make sense to me, because I don't think a good football manager would not recognise that there's issues. And hell, I don't see the club sacking Parkinson, so he's going to have time to work on this. You can't tell me that we're not playing Aidan McGeady because we're trying to blood through young players and then not try and blood through young players. It just doesn't make any sense. Look, Embleton today, he might have had knocks. He might have not been 100% after playing 90 minutes midweek. I understand that. But I feel like, could Embleton have been on the bench? Maybe he was injured, and if he is injured, I take it all back. Well, not all back, I take that bit back. But surely Dan Neil and Elliot Embleton, one of them, could have been fit enough to be on the bench, and that could have changed the game today. I don't understand the point of having Will Grigg up front if you're not going to put anybody who's going to give him the service that he needs to score. Admittedly today, Grigg didn't cover himself in glory, but he's a striker without confidence, and he's also a striker who needs to be serviced, and we're not doing that. So Parkinson's match rating today, you can't really give him anything more than a 1. It's as bad as it gets, losing a league game against MK Dons, a team that haven't won away from home in so long. Sunderland fans, I think rightfully, are asking questions, and I think that it's going to be very difficult for Phil Parkinson to win back supporters. It'll be very difficult for him to win me back. And we have to move on. We have to go again. It's pointless dwelling on it, but I think that there's clearly got to be discussions had with the powers that be at the football club, because at the minute we look like a team that's going to be in League One for a 4th straight season, and it's just not good enough. Anyway, this has turned into a little bit of a rant. I've been going for nigh on 20 minutes. Thanks for watching this video. Sorry that it couldn't be a little bit more upbeat, but it's difficult when it's just so bad to watch. You waste your Saturday afternoon watching that. It's dreadful. Hopefully, over the next couple of weeks things will improve. Hopefully we'll have a takeover to talk about as well, which would be nice. So thanks for watching today, and I'll be on Roker Report on Sunday, probably out on Monday. So hopefully we can you'll listen to that, and we can probably get a little bit more in depth on the issues going on at Sunderland. So please subscribe, please comment, and thanks for watching today's video.